Welcome to my orchid room, I guess you could call it. So this year in September, I started buying orchids. I originally bought one orchid, then I got one more, then I got two more, then I got one more, then I got another. So I have altogether 6 orchids. Here we see 3 orchids. This one, I call it the purple orchid or the pink orchid. And I got this one from Food Basics. At the time it was $14. These 2, actually no, just this one I got from a nursery, Mississauga Nurseries. And it's the most expensive orchid I have. It was $34. And I mean, you can see it's beautiful, it's huge. It has previously had flowers on it already, so it has had a spike in another year, a flower spike in another year, so this is not its first time blooming. And it has a lot of flowers and it's big. So this orchid, it is November 11th. I got this orchid September 19th. So it still looks like this. It's very nice. This orchid right here, this like pink salmony one, I call it Soho Salmon. That's what I call it. I looked up its name and the name sounded similar to that. These are all like not species orchids. They're all no ID orchids, but if you Google enough, you might find a flower that looks similar to your flower that has a name. So this had a name, but I don't quite remember the name. All I need is for me to be able to identify it so that if I write a note about it or I think about fertilization, I go, oh yeah, I fertilized the salmon pink one last Thursday or Wednesday. It just gives me a way to think about it or to talk about it. So I call it Soho Salmon. And I got this one from like not Oceans, but similar as a grocery store, an Oriental grocery store. And I really liked it, but I felt like it was just too warm of a color. So I needed to cool it up with some cool colors at the time. My first orchid I ever purchased is in a different section. So I have another orchid section right here. So I have 3 orchids here and a Petrocroton in the back. My first orchid I bought was this one. And this is a Food Basics orchid. It was my first orchid. It was $12. I was so excited when I bought it. It had little white flowers similar to the white flowers that I had just shown you from that other orchid, but obviously not as big. It was $12. And when I purchased it, I was all looking at the root system and looking at the flowers, but I didn't look at the leaves. When I brought it home, I found that the leaves were in really bad condition. I had to cut off one leaf entirely. It had like lesions like this, like black lesions, but they were liquidy, so I had to cut it off. It was like a rotting bacterial issue. And it was the first orchid that I got, and I was so disappointed that I had overlooked looking at the leaves. You can also see that it has these little pits in it. I believe after watching enough videos, this is called, I think it's like an orchid fleck virus, and it's not affecting all of the leaves in the same way. This leaf right here is the most affected by it. And apparently they can grow out of this. Initially, I was worried it was like a pest, but I cleaned it. I used hydrogen peroxide on it, and I repotted it. I cut off the flower spikes that it had. After I cut the flower spike off that it had and I repotted it, it started to push out a new leaf. The new leaf has a little bit of purple you can see on the edge. I believe the purple is that anthocyanin, that it's the plant's natural form of sunscreen. I have grow lights. The grow lights that I have are an issue. It's difficult to get lighting. Like for me, I'm finding it very difficult to get lighting right for these Phalaenopsis orchids, and like only time will tell. The leaves aren't burning under these lights right now. These leaves were never great to begin with, so this isn't the best judge, but they're not burning, so the light's not hot enough to burn the leaves. The leaves are cool to the touch, so it's not getting overheated. I am a little worried about the purple nature of this, although it does look better than it looked maybe a week or two ago, and I'm curious to see what the leaf is going to look like. I am growing this section or this vignette under like a thin little halo light, and then I have these two bulbs facing this section. This third bulb was facing the orchids until yesterday, where I decided to change it because the new leaves just look kind of fragile and I can't see too much of them just yet. So I'm hoping that they grow out fine, and I'm hoping that they grow to be big. I'm saying they because next to that plant, I have another orchid. This is a mini orchid. It had like purple stripes on the flowers. I recently cut off the flower spikes because the flowers were starting to go, and it's growing out a new leaf. So I thought, you know, let's cut off the flower spikes so that it can just put its energy into leaves and roots. This orchid right now I have sitting, oh no, it's not sitting in water, sorry. I think this orchid is sitting in water actually. It's getting watered right now. So yeah, I cut off the spikes so that it could focus on the leaves and the roots. I did repot it, and the roots are growing. You can see root tips. Maybe I repotted this about 2 weeks ago or so, and the roots look pretty good. I do feel that this guy needs to be watered several times a week though. I think it dries out pretty quickly. It's potted in orchiata bark, the small size, like the 6 to 9 millimeters. And I know, like I've read that orchiata bark in the beginning especially doesn't retain a lot of water at all, and I agree. I have actually soaked this for 24 hours and it didn't hurt it at all. Since then, the orchiata bark has been a bit better than it was initially. Initially, it just looked like it dried out the day I watered it. So now, you know, I'm just watching the roots, and if they ever look even a bit silvery, then I water it. You can see they look nice and green. I watered it yesterday. That looks good. And again, this one has a new leaf, so this leaf also has a bit of purple in it, that anthocyanin. Not as much as this one though. So yeah, I want to wait a little bit and see what they look like. If I have to reduce the light some more, I will. I'm finding lighting to be very tricky because you don't know if your lighting is good enough until next year's flower show. And unless like there's an obvious sign like the leaves are burning, like you don't know if it's too bright. I know baby leaves are delicate and a lot more sensitive, so I don't know if maybe I should reduce the light while the baby leaves are growing or not. And I will, if I feel that, you know, as this leaf grows, if it just looks horrible, then like I'm going to change lighting. I don't feel it looks too bad right now. Yes, it has a little bit of the purple, but I've been watching a lot of orchid videos, and purple in baby leaves isn't uncommon. It's not black. Black would be an indicator that there's something wrong. It could be virus or it could be bacteria. Initially, I was concerned about these black spots, which is again what I purchased it with. I purchased it just with, I wasn't very conscientious of the leaves at all. So these came with it. They've since dried and the damage is isolated. It's not spreading, so I'm just leaving it, leaving them, and there's still plenty of green on it, so it's photosynthesizing. And this was, yeah, Food Basics $12 orchid. Now it's repotted. The root system, I don't know what I was thinking when I bought it. I thought it was so good, and then when I repotted it and I got home, the leaves were ugly. The root system was horrible. It really doesn't have that many roots, to be honest. It's in a huge pot. This wasn't the first ever repot. All of the roots are within the top 2 inches, basically. You can't see much because there's not much. There's not a whole lot going on. I actually don't know, but there's something growing. And I'm a little, I kind of think it's a flower spike. Because they say flower spikes look like mittens. Let me see if I can get this around a bit. So, I don't know, there's 2 points to it. I think it might be a flower spike, but I don't know. I'm not sure yet. I do think it's a flower spike though. Not that I have that much experience at all. So right now my bet is that it's a flower spike. And initially when I saw and felt like it was a flower spike, I was like, that's the last thing this plant needs to do. This orchid should be putting its energy into roots and this new leaf that it's growing and it's trying to stay healthy. But if it is a flower spike, I'm gonna let it be. This is the first year, as I said, I'm trying out orchids, and I'll learn from it. I will see if the lights are too strong, if buds blast. I want to learn. And lighting, I've never bought grow lights like this before. I've purchased grow bulbs before. I have a grow bulb and I've purchased those, and I kind of like them, but a lot of the lighting when I was researching orchids was pretty confusing. On some websites they're low light. When I go to Sheridan Nurseries, they're high light. When you read about foot candles and PPFD, all sorts of lighting measurements, my light just isn't good enough. And I guess I went through this period of worrying that, oh my goodness, I have to wait a whole year, and if my lighting's not good enough, my flowers aren't gonna bloom for me. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna put this effort in now and I'll be rewarded in a year. Unfortunately, lighting is challenging because you don't know. I've since downloaded a couple of apps on my phone to measure light. Apparently my lighting's still not bright enough, or it is, but when it's bright enough, the leaves get warm and I start to see damage. So I just, I don't really want to pay the money for a light meter right now. I almost regret buying the grow lights, like these grow lights. I don't like what they look like at all, but they were affordable, and at the time I thought the light measurements matched what I was reading about what orchids need. I just feel they're very bright, they're very strong, and they're not really nice looking. Like you can see the gooseneck there. I do like the halo lights. I don't think these are ultimately the most economical thing either, because they don't have any guarantee. They really could just work for 6 months and die, and they're still maybe $20, which I could have gotten a cheap grow light bulb and maybe a nicer lamp. I really don't know. Lighting, I am interested in grow lights because if they help the growth of the orchids, which I love blooms, if they help the orchids to bloom and have a nice flower show. That's really what I'm after. Excuse me. But I don't like what they look like at all. The halo lights are nice, but this is a very like low light. I did also put that croton there to kind of block some of the light coming out of these plants to the orchid in the back, so a little bit of protection. They say orchids are an understory plant, so I thought, okay, let's put a plant in front of it to maybe give it that understory feature. It is really confusing. The lighting is confusing, and I am kind of like satisfied when I watch other videos where like plant gurus not like talk about like the challenges of lighting. Unless you get like, I think, less powerful lights, there's such a lack of confidence with them, because if they're too strong, you might not know it until your flower buds blast, which is too late. And because orchids have a reputation for being low light, I feel like it's safer to go with a weaker strength bulb. I just like now in hindsight, like, and I've only been doing this since September 19th, so for close to 2 months, but I do kind of regret maybe not just trying out the halo light. I don't know. Because yeah, to just do the halo light and see that next year I don't have any flowers, that would be disappointing too. And that's kind of why I did buy these other grow lights, is because I thought, okay, let's make sure I'm giving it enough light. If the leaves burn, that's too much light, and basically anything short of the leaves burning is fine. Like the leaves are not burning, so I figure they're fine. I don't know if the rule can be that simple enough, because my new leaves are kind of gonna help me figure out my lighting situation a little bit more. On this side, so originally I had these halo lights, just the halo lights, and the halo lights were pointed down on the leaves. And then when I got these apps to measure the light out, it was not enough, like not enough in comparison to what the websites were telling me for the PPFD that I needed. So I was convinced that I needed to get more lights. Then I got more lights, and one of my later purchases, which was this one, actually had a secondary branch that had buds, and all the buds blasted. This flower never really opened fully either. Right now, it looks like it might be growing a secondary branch right here, and I am kind of worried because it would be nice for it to grow. But like it already looks like it's drying out. I don't know. I also repotted this while it had flowers on it. And while I repotted it, I did like touch it. So I don't know if that's gonna affect it either. You know, they say with these secondary branches, you can never be certain that anything is gonna come out of them. I purchased this one and it already had these 2 secondary branches on it. So really, I don't think it's changed much, although every day I look at it and think, oh, something's happening, but I don't think much is happening. It's nice to have a video though, so I can really see. I'm gonna get around here and just show you like what it looks like. I think it is growing. Like it's changing. I don't know, it used to be a lot smaller. This one, I don't know if I can focus on that. This one looks like it's changing too. Like it looks like it's getting more bulbous. Now, whether that yields anything, I don't know. So these are my orchids. I'll give you a little better look so that I have some results or some sort of tracking of the growth. So far the flowers look amazing, and they've been looking like this for over a month. This one doesn't really seem to be developing any new leaves. The roots are growing, has a couple aerial roots. And I see some things popping out right here. I'm pretty sure those are more aerial roots. Yeah, because this plant looks like it gets one stem at a time, seeing as it only had one stem previously and many leaf sets. No new leaf in there. This plant is pushing out a new leaf. You can see it right in there. It's like a little slit. Well, I didn't even actually notice it when it was a little slit. I just noticed it like this when it looks like kind of a little thumbnail. Okay, so a leaf is coming out, and these secondary shoots look like they're getting juicier. And then my other vignette, so as we saw these before, this one's pushing out a new leaf, possibly a new flower. Let's see if I can get a better view. And the mini orchid is also pushing out a new leaf. And my mellow yellow over here is doing just fine. It just finished opening its last bud. So I haven't repotted this. It's the only one I haven't repotted. I'm just waiting a little bit. It's my most recent one. We got it October 18th. So I'm gonna wait until the flowers have been around for a month or so before I repot it. Find all of the orchids from Food Basics have that like plug in it, the plug where the baby plant was born. All of the plants from the nurseries have, they were in sphagnum moss. And I don't like sphagnum moss. The watering is very tricky with sphagnum moss, and fertilizing it is really tricky. With this orchiata bark, watering isn't really tricky. It's very challenging to overwater. You can't overwater basically. And I would let this one soak overnight for 24 hours. This one soak overnight for 24 hours. I don't think it did anything harmful. I don't think it did that much benefit either. I think 6 hours is enough when in new orchiata bark. I did try it. I did read it somewhere on Reddit that someone else suggested I try it. Not I, but suggested someone else that had written on Reddit to try it. And then actually when I went on the Roehampton Nurseries, I think it's called, that's an orchid store in Toronto, their recommendations for many of the Phalaenopsis are to soak it for 24 hours to 30 minutes. So anywhere from there. And you know, they don't really give any more specifications than that, but I do agree that when it's new orchiata bark, it can take a 24-hour soak. It doesn't do anything harmful, although I don't really think it's that much more beneficial than a 6 or 8 hour soak. The roots need air as well. They didn't suffer, but I didn't really see a great benefit. And then you know, you just wake up in the morning thinking, oh, I gotta change the water, so it's better. I prefer not leaving it overnight, but I will frequently leave them for 4 to 8 hours, during the day, and just when I remember. So this one back here has been soaking, and I didn't repot it. It is in bark, but I believe it has a plug in it as well. The thing is, I watered this 3 days ago, and I soaked it for a few hours, 3 hours, and the roots were all silvery today. So I felt okay, I'm gonna soak it again. It needs it anyways. And I don't find that watering it and soaking it hurts it. In fact, usually every time I water and soak, something happens. This grows, the little spike grows a little bit more, the leaf opens a little bit more. So I think something good happens every time I water. This is the first time I've shown more than one plant at a time. And I find it confusing. So it's not my preference. I prefer to just do one plant, talk about it, and go into a little bit of detail. So this is an overview of the orchids that I have. I think another video I'll talk about lighting. I'm struggling with lighting right now, and I don't want to invest money in it, and I don't love the way the lighting looks. I don't know. I find lighting a challenge. None of the leaves are burning, as I said, but I don't love the lighting setup here. But it's affordable, and I really don't want to put more money into lights. So what I am wondering though is if I had just left my bedroom light on during the day, if that would have been good enough. Or, you know, maybe if I had like a slightly better halo light in that corner, would that have been good enough? I kind of wish I didn't get into the measuring light with my phone apps. I think that's where things started to go wrong. That's when I started to buy these clamp-on fancy bulbs, which get like pretty good reviews. They do get a bit hot. They're not bad lights, they're good lights. I just don't like how they look. A little bit alien-like, and they make the room less cozy. Yeah, so measuring lights is kind of my, I don't want to say downfall, but that's kind of where I kind of steered in the wrong direction, where I started to measure like foot candles, measure PPFDs. I just think plants take time and experience, and if they didn't, that's the thing. I don't think I could handle not giving them as much as I could and having them not bloom. So I really did want to put whatever I could into these orchids so that next year they bloom. And I don't think that they won't bloom. So I believe they will. What I'm worried about is the buds blasting now. And that's a worry that's way ahead of its time. We're not even close to that. They still haven't lost the flowers from this year yet. And yeah, I guess if the first plant that I ever got actually has a bloom spike on it, I will learn whether my lighting is too much for these buds. I think this video is enough for right now. It's a little too long and a little too, I feel like, disorienting. So I'm gonna stop it for now and think about whether I could do this in a better way and maybe either focus on one plant at a time or just a corner of the room, or do this in a more orderly fashion. I find this is a little bit confusing, and yeah, I can talk a lot about plants, so maybe I'll do just one video at a time. Anyways, that's it for now. Thanks.